In this video, we're going to talk about special integrals called improper integrals. And these integrals are of functions that have either an infinite domain or an infinite range. So we're first going to consider two specific examples. The two functions you see here, y equals 1 over x squared, whose graph I kind of tried to show on the right, and y equals 1 over x, whose graph is also on the right in blue. And notice that both of these functions have infinite domains. That means that as x gets large here, the function gets arbitrarily close to the x-axis, but we're continuing to add area, right? If we're interested in the integral, the area continues to be added here because we have an infinite domain. And the same thing happens with 1 over x. We want to understand if there's a difference in how these two functions behave. So we're specifically interested in the integral from 1 to infinity of this function 1 over x squared dx. So notice that we haven't seen this before, where we have an infinite domain. The upper limit of integration here is infinity. And infinity is not a number, it's just an idea, a concept. So what we're trying to figure out is, can we capture the area underneath this function, between the function and the x-axis, as x gets arbitrarily large from 1 to infinity, to a very, very, very large number and infinitely large numbers. So we can't just plug in infinity, we can't integrate and just plug in infinity. That's because infinity, again, is not a number. So we're going to consider it in the following way. We're going to think, okay, let's calculate the integral from 1 to some arbitrary value b, where b is greater than 1. And we're going to find an expression for the area under the curve, under 1 over x squared, between 1 and b. And that's going to give us an expression in terms of b. And then we're going to let b get arbitrarily large as b approaches infinity, which means that if we're letting something get arbitrarily large, we're going to have to use a limit. So we're going to define this improper integral as the limit as b gets arbitrarily large of the expression from 1 to b of 1 over x squared dx. So what we've done is, this part calculates the area between the curve and the x-axis from 1 to some constant b that's bigger than 1. And then we're going to let b get arbitrarily large, since we can't just plug in infinity into an expression. So let's go ahead and integrate. We're going to calculate the limit last. So I'll keep writing the limit until we calculate it. And let's integrate 1 over x squared. Well, this is just a power rule problem, x to the negative 2, whose antiderivative is negative x to the negative 1, or negative 1 over x. And we're integrating that expression, that function, from 1 to b. So we'll continue here. Limit as b approaches infinity. We're going to use the fundamental theorem of calculus, putting b in first and then subtracting what we get when we put in a 1. So we have a negative 1 over b. When we subtract the expression when x is 1, we're going to get plus 1. And now we have an expression in terms of b, and we can take the limit as b gets arbitrarily large to see if we can actually give a value to the area between our function and the x-axis from 1 to infinity. So when we calculate this limit, as b gets arbitrarily large, negative 1 over b is going to become very, very, very close to 0. As the larger b gets, the closer this expression will be to 0. So in the limit, that will be 0, and where the value of this integral is 1. Because this is a finite value, we can say, okay, the area between the function and the x-axis gets arbitrarily close to 1, and we use a special term for that. We say that the integral converges to 1. Because 1 is a finite number. So we can basically say that the area under this function, between the function and the x-axis, gets as close to 1 as we want to make it. The larger b gets, the closer that area will be to 1, the number 1. Okay, let's apply the same reasoning to the function 1 over x and see where that leads us. So again, we're interested in the integral from 1 to infinity, because 1 over x has an infinite domain, of 1 over x dx. So we want to know can we give a numerical value to the area between 1 over x and the x-axis from 1 to infinity. And we're going to approach it the same way. We're going to find an expression for the area beneath the function from 1 to b, and then we're going to let b get arbitrarily large towards infinity, and that will also involve a limit. So let's calculate this. So we're going to define our integral as the limit as b approaches infinity of the integral from 1 to b. So we're going to find an expression for this area between 1 and b. It will be an expression in terms of b, and then we're going to let b get arbitrarily large. So as we did in the previous example, we're going to evaluate the limit last. And the integral of 1 over x, that's the natural log of x. It would be absolute value of x, but here the values of x are positive, so we don't need the absolute value. And we're integrating from 1 to b. All right, so this will be the limit as b approaches infinity. We'll apply the fundamental theorem of calculus. This will be the natural log of b minus the natural log of 1. The natural log of 1 is 0. That's just 0. And we're interested now in what happens to the function natural log of b as b becomes arbitrarily large. So I'm going to show you a quick graph of the natural log function. Looks like this. And let's suppose this is our b-axis, since that's our independent variable. And as b gets large, the function values are also increasing slowly, but they keep increasing. And so this has no limiting value. This will just be infinite, which means that this integral is infinite, and we cannot give a numerical value to the area between 1 over x and the x-axis. So the language that we use in this kind of case is that the integral, the improper integral, diverges. It's called improper because we're dealing with an infinite domain. So instead of saying that it converges to a numerical value, since the limit is infinite, we say that the integral diverges, and there's no area that this underneath the function and between the function and the x-axis that this will tend towards. Okay, let's add a little bit more here, and let's consider in general the improper integral from 1 to infinity of 1 over x to the p, where p is a constant. So we've already looked at 1 over x squared, where p was equal to 2, and that integral converged to 1. And we also looked at the improper integral from 1 to infinity of 1 over x, where p was equal to 1, and that integral diverged, did not have a numerical value. So here is an applet that's going to help us visualize what's going on with 1 over x to the p, where we let p vary, and we want to make some conclusions about this type of improper integral called a p integral. So in this applet, let me see if I can make it work. There we go. All right, so in this applet, let me just run it one more time. Okay, so I want to orient you a little bit to what's going on here. So you can see here we have the function 1 over x to the p, where p is a constant, and with the red slider, I'm going to move p, and I want you to observe what's going on with the function that we see. It's very tiny. You can't really see the area underneath very well right now when p is 0.9, but I also want you to attend to this value. Here, we're just going up to 65.6, so it's not very large, not a very large number, but we're going to see what happens as I let that value, upper limit of integration get larger and larger and larger, and as I change the values of p. So when p equals, let's say, 0.7, I'm going to move c, the upper limit, so that it gets larger and larger and larger, and you can see that the area is increasing. It will continue to increase. We just can't get very much higher than 190 in this applet. 200. I could change the c. Let's see if I can make that bigger. Let's say 1,000. And let's see if I can move c to get larger and larger and larger. And you can see that this value, the area, 20.81, is just increasing. So we'll say that this will keep increasing and the integral will diverge. So p is less than 1, integral is diverging. If I make p even smaller, notice now p is negative 0.4. Well, you can see the area now, that's getting larger and larger and larger, and it's just going to keep getting larger and larger and larger. So p equal to negative 0.4, the integral will also diverge. Now if I move p to be larger than 1, like, what is it now, 2.4, notice what happens as I change the upper limit of integration. The area, this is only rounding to 2 decimal places, is staying at about 0.71. So because it's not increasing, we're going to say that this integral will converge when p is 2.4. If I change p to be a little bit larger, like 3.5, notice that I can change the upper limit and we're still about at 0.4. So when we're approaching a single value, we will say that the integral will converge. And when the value is just getting larger and larger and larger, the integral will diverge. So what we have found here, let's just do a quick summary. I know that wasn't perfect. Let me try to do a quick summary for our p integral that looks like this. 1 to infinity, 1 over x to the p dx. And we've seen that when p equals 1, we have divergence. We already showed that in our second example above. But with this applet, we've seen that when p is greater than 1, we have convergence. That means that the area between the function and the x-axis is approaching a single finite number. And when p is less than 1, well, the area kept getting larger and larger and larger, so we also have divergence. So the p integral will diverge when p is basically less than or equal to 1, and converge when p is greater than 1. So this is an important integral that will come up a lot, has a specific form. We've only looked at it from 1 to infinity with an infinite domain. And the last note that I'm going to make here is that when we have improper integrals, we have 2 types. Type 1 is when we're dealing with an infinite domain, as we just saw. All of the examples that we've seen in this video have an infinite domain. And in subsequent videos, we'll look at type 2 improper integrals, which will have an infinite range. So don't worry too much about this just yet, because I haven't really introduced it. But I just wanted to let you know that there are 2 types that we will be discussing in the next few videos.